What's up everybody, Jim Games Live here, and in today's video, I'm gonna learn about Finland. Now, I'm kind of embarrassed to say I don't know much about Finland. I'm sorry. I've been reacting to a ton of music from Finland, and I've been talking to a ton of people from Finland through my reactions. Now, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that you guys have been helping me out so much, and I honestly just don't know much about the country. I know a little bit from school from many, many years ago, but I figured if you're going to be so helpful towards me, I'm going to be talking to so many of you people, I should probably learn a little bit more about you. Well, or at least your country. So that's what we're going to do today. This link comes from my good friend Ronnie. He sent it over to me. He's a very trusted source of mine, so we're going to do it today. If you are new around here, though, please consider liking and subscribing. It would help me out a ton, and honestly, I'd love to have you here. All right, let's switch screens, and let's get schooled. All right, Finland, show me what you got.
Ah, Finland. Let's talk about this place that I totally have no preconceived biases towards.
Is he from Finland?
It's time to learn geography.
No! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbie. Welcome to the dark sheep of Northern Europe. All the other Nordic countries are like la 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 la, while Finland is like we'll get into the heavy metal thing in a bit. But first, now just remember, Finland is Nordic, but don't call it Scandinavian. There's a huge difference. That title only belongs to Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. First of all, Finland is located in Northern Europe, lying on the Gulf of Finland and the Gulf of Bothnia, east of all that Scandinavian stuff. To the west, they border Sweden on the Torne River, or the Tornionjoki, until it reaches the tri-point border with Norway at the three-country Cairnstone. And to the east, they border big ol' Russia with another tri-point border with Norway that looks like this. The country is divided into 19 regions, or maakunta, with the autonomous region that we'll talk about a little bit later.
Maakunta? Interesting. Okay. So I know about at least some of the regions a little bit, and I know about the map placement, but that's honestly about it.
And the capital of Helsinki, located in the south on the Gulf of Finland, which is also the second most northern capital in the world after Reykjavik, Iceland. The country also owns about 180,000 islands, the highest concentration of which found in the Baltic off the coast in the Åland archipelago. Keep in mind, parts of
180,000 islands? That's not a small number.
Finland also lie within the Arctic Circle. That's how far up north they are. And the three busiest airports are Helsinki, Oulu, and Rovaniemi. Now my favorite part, territorial anomalies! First of all, with Russia, there are too many split islands and penne enclaves. The islands of Aikaniemi and Sursari, Tarasin-Sari Islands and lakes, the island in the Koitajoki River. Seriously, just play around with Google Earth and see how many you can find. Finally, we get to Sweden and things get interesting. Most of the borders with Sweden run along rivers that eventually flow into the Torne River, and then we get a strange golf course that is split between the two countries in the town of Tornio and Sweden.
Oh,
Not
cool.
only that, but then you have the strange Market Island right next to Åland in the Gulf of Bothnia, which has an inverted S-shaped border. It had to do with the lighthouse that was built belonging to Finland, but then Sweden was like, hey, it's too close to our side of the island. So they drew a border that was like this to give...
That's cool. Look at that border. Guess I wanted to keep ownership of the lighthouse.
each side equal shares of the land. See this archipelago cluster of islands right here? Yeah, it belongs to Finland, even though most of the people here speak Swedish. Åland is Finland's strange little administrative anomaly. Long story short, it used to belong to Sweden, but then the Russians took over it in addition to Finland. Then after the Russian Revolution, Finland became free, and then the UN decided Åland should belong to Finland with autonomy. But then the Soviets started attacking again, and then Finland was like, nope, and then fought back relentlessly, defending themselves and Åland, and Sweden just kind of sat there and didn't really do much for Åland as they decided to stay neutral. Finland defending Åland was kind of like the turning point. Now it's kind of like, Åland, come back to me! Look, Sweden, we had some great times, but you kind of really didn't do much for me when things got crazy. I mean, Finland defended me, okay? And he treats me well, okay? His tax incentives are great. It's time to move on. It's not me. It's you. Åland. Also,
Finland's a provider, all right? Finland brings home the bacon. I know.
Finland kind of threatened that if Åland was ceded back to Sweden, they would demand the Tornio Valley. Now, before the whole Soviet thing, Finland operated the regions of Karelia, Sala, Kusamo, Petsamo, and some extra islands in the Gulf. After the wars with the Soviets, these regions were all ceded back to Russia, effectively cutting off their access to the Arctic Ocean. Very quickly, some notable sites and landmarks would have to be the old castles like Savonlinna, Hämeenlinna, Olavinlinna, and the most renowned Suomenlinna. You can probably guess what Linna means by now. Rovaniemi is otherwise known as the home of Santa Claus, where you can go reindeer sledding, Inari, and Ivalo is where you can get a real Sami traditional cultural experience. Of course, Helsinki is the epicenter.
Wow, wow, look at the architecture. That's like something I'm just noticing right away. They've got some really cool architecture over there. Like, there's just like detail in every little thing. Very, very cool. Sorry, this video is just moving very fast, and I want to play around with it a little bit.
Center of Finnish architecture and culture, with landmarks such as the Tampeli Aukia
Whoa.
church excavated.
What is that? That's a ceiling? All right, so look at the size of the people down there. That's massive. Let me take that back. I didn't catch what that was called again.
And Ivalo is where you can get a real Sami traditional cultural experience. Of course, Helsinki is the epicenter of Finnish architecture and culture, with landmarks such as the Tampeli Aukia church excavated into a rock, Mannerheim Street, the busiest road with all the shops and austere post-Soviet influenced blocky colonnaded buildings, or the iconic Helsinki Cathedral. Now those are all great, but Finland isn't really much of a tight metropolitan type of country. They love their space and have quite a bunch of it. See what lies outside these cities, shall we? Now, if you want me to make this simple, some would argue that Finland is the best winter wonderland in the world. I mean, Canada's cool, but they have too many bears, and Iceland is too explodey, and Russia is too cold. Seriously, though, the land is generally flat, except in the north by the border with Norway, in which the highest mountain can be found, Mount Halti, although the peak is in Norway. However, in 2017, Norway plans to give Finland the peak for their 100th anniversary of independence from the Soviets. Finland is just—
Did that happen? Did they give them the peak of that mountain for their birthday? You just giving mountains away for birthdays? All right. All right.
It's cool, but they have too many bears, and Iceland is too explodey, and Russia is too cold. Seriously, though, the land is generally flat, except in the north by the border with Norway, in which the highest mountain can be found, Mount Halti, although the peak is in Norway. However, in 2017, Norway plans to give Finland—
Did that happen? They're saying in 2017 they plan to do it. This video was in 2016. If you know, post in the comments, because that's— I mean, it's quite the gesture, you know. Who gives away a mountain? Or the top of a mountain?
the peak for their 100th anniversary of independence from the Soviets.
That's awesome.
Finland is just wonderfully crisp and refreshing, usually ranking in the top 3 countries in the world with the cleanest air quality. This is partially because Finland is almost 80% covered in forest, one of the highest concentrations per square kilometer in the world, only behind countries like Gabon and Suriname. This makes Finland the largest producer of wood in the EU and one of the top in the world. Not only that, but Finland has about 188,000 lakes, most heavily concentrated in lakeland, and in addition to lakes, about 10% of the country is comprised of all water bodies like rivers, ponds, and streams. When mixed with the land, this makes about 1/3 of the country home to swamps and bogs, making it the highest wetland proportion country in Europe and disputably the world. Maybe, but our floods are crazier. Fittingly, the name for swamp in Finnish is suo, and the word for Finland is suomi. I mean, technically they also have like 9 other words for swamp, like rame, neva, leto, luhta, laiteko, apa, paisa, janka, and korpi. And they love these swamps. One Finnish pastime is jumping in the mud, sometimes naked, and either playing soccer or wrestling. The landscape of Finland is shaped that way because—
So you guys are into naked mud wrestling over there? I dig it. I'm down. Maybe if I visit, I can get invited to one of those naked mud wrestling parties.
Janka, and korpi. And they love these swamps. One Finnish pastime is jumping in the mud, sometimes naked, and either playing soccer or wrestling. The landscape of Finland is shaped that way because imagine what happens when you crush something under a heavy glacier for a really long time, and then after the glacier melts, you're left with pockety erosion and mineral residue all over. Not only that, but Finland is experiencing a post-glacial rebound in which the land is steadily rising along the coast of the Gulf of Bothnia. Every year, Finland gains about 7 square kilometers and is technically rising out of the sea. The longest river—
What? 7 kilometers every year? Finland's taking What? Let me go back here just a second. 7, like that's not a small number. You're getting 7 kilometers every year?
Post-glacial rebound in which the land is steadily rising along the coast of the Gulf of Bothnia. Every year, Finland gains about 7 square kilometers and is technically rising out of the sea. The longest river is the Kemijoki that passes through Lapland and reaches the Gulf of Bothnia. And the largest lake, as well as the 4th largest in Europe, Lake Saima, is located in the southeast. Because Finland is so far north, they are known for being the land of the midnight sun, as during summer you can literally see the sun for 24 hours a day in the northern parts by the Arctic Circle. And of course, in the winter times, there's hardly any sunlight at all, but if you're lucky, you can witness an aurora borealis, especially in the northern parts.
I heard about that. So Finland, at least in the northern parts, is kind of like Alaska, I guess, where it's like sunny all the time or dark all the time. That's wild. That's cool too. What are those, like reindeer? Or I'm not sure what animal that is. I'd love to learn more about just like the animals of Finland. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so the sun doesn't really set. It just kind of, well, I mean, it makes sense. It's way up north, so that's gonna be weird.
See the sun for 24 hours a day in the northern parts by the Arctic Circle. And of course, in the winter times, there's hardly any sunlight at all. But if you're lucky, you can witness an aurora borealis, especially in the northern parts.
I'd love
by
to
the
see
way, the
one.
national animals are the whooper swan and the brown bear. Finnish agriculture is, of course, very standard for northern European countries. Lots of rye wheat, turnips, potatoes, and of course, fishing is huge out here. However, due to the abundance of lakes and rivers, Finns prefer their own domestic freshwater fish like perch, zander, and miuku as opposed to the sea fish. Speaking of which, coming to Finland, chances are you will eventually try reindeer meat in some shape or form, whether in stew or grilled. In Lapland, you might even find...
I don't know. I don't know if I'd do that. I've had venison, and I guess it's kind of the same thing. But I don't know. Reindeer are so adorable. Those are Santa's animals. I could totally see how they eat a lot of their own freshwater fish. I've only heard of perch, and I've had perch before. I think we have that here in America. I think, or at least I've had it here.
Zander and miuku as opposed to the sea
Zander and
fish.
Muku,
Speaking
I
of
don't
which, coming to Finland, chances are you will eventually try reindeer meat in some shape or form, whether in stew or grilled. In Lapland, you might even find bear on the menu. You can
Bear?
try mami, a pudding made of rye, and of course, every Finn will make every visitor try the strong, salty salmiakki. They love salmiakki so much that they made it into an ice cream, and it's so good.
Salmiakki. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. This doesn't look that great. I mean, I guess I could just try it. I guess I would try it. If I go over to Finland, I'll definitely try some. But this does not look like the most appetizing thing in the world. And I like my salts. But, yeah. And you guys are eating bears over there?
Try mami, a pudding made of rye, and of course, every Finn will make every visitor try the strong, salty salmiakki. They love salmiakki so much that they made it into an ice cream, and it's so good, and I'm so mad they don't sell it in my hometown. Oh yeah, in the wintertime, they build ice hotels, and there's like this cool waterfall in
cool.
the Paratisi Kuru area in the Uru Kekkonen National Park. Okay, let's talk about Finnish people. Okay, if you go to Finland, you will most likely experience a rather intense yet intriguing social construct. First of all, the country has about 5.5 million people and is the most sparsely populated country in the EU. The country is about 90% ethnically Finnish, about 6% are Swedish, and the rest is made up of everything else under the sun, like Russians, Estonians, Asians, and Africans. They use the euro as currency, they use the type CEF outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. Of course, the Finnish people speak the Finnish language, which is arguably one of the hardest languages on earth to learn. Conjugation is a mess, nouns and...
I don't feel as bad now butchering all these names. I'm still butchering them.
As currency, they use the type CEF outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. Of course, the Finnish people speak the Finnish language, which is arguably one of the hardest languages on earth to learn. Conjugation is a mess. Nouns and adjectives have inflectionary forms, whatever that means. Nonetheless, Finland has one of the best schooling systems in the world. In Finland, school hours are shorter, less homework is given, and there are virtually no mandated standardized tests apart from the exam you take in your final senior year of high school.
Wow, so that is that's a huge difference between America. From a very early age, we're giving mass amounts of homework. Like I remember even when I was a kid many, many years ago, I had like an hour to 2 hours of homework every single night. And it's only gotten worse and worse as time has progressed. Like my younger brothers, they tell me about some of like their homework. And back when they were in middle school and high school, I saw what they had to do. And it was intense. It's basically like having another part-time job as soon as you get home. And then we're also tested at every step of the way. After we graduate, every single grade, we have, I think they're called MCAS. Yeah, MCAS. It's been a while since I've been in school, guys. But they have like MCAS tests. They're basically testing you, testing that giant group of people, making sure those people are learning and getting smart. But we're tested a lot. We get a lot of homework. It's like having a part-time job. That's kind of cool that they have more of a laid-back approach to it. But I mean, if their school systems are good anyway, I mean, maybe you just don't need that.
One of the best schooling systems in the world. In Finland, school hours are shorter, less homework is given, and there are virtually no mandated standardized tests apart from the exam you take in your final senior year.
Yeah, that is wild, man. That is totally wild. I was tested a lot, and it's even worse for younger kids now. Like, it's just constant testing, constant homework, and I don't know. Is it necessary? Maybe not.
Of high school. Also, if you get your PhD, you have the option to get a sword and a top hat along with your diploma.
You guys giving out swords? Oh man, I'm in the wrong place. You get a PhD, you get your complimentary top hat and sword so you can be dapper Well, you're fighting with a sword they give you. That's just cool. That's just cool.
Homework is given, and there are virtually no mandated standardized tests apart from the exam you take in your final senior year of high school. Also, if you get your PhD, you have the option to get a sword and a top hat along with your diploma. This is also why Finland is one of the most English-friendly countries in Europe. Children are taught around ages 9 to 11, and most people of the younger generation can at least hold an impressively fluid conversation. Finland is actually a conscription country in which all men ages 18 and up are required to serve either in the military or civilian services anywhere from 165 days to a year, depending on the type of service applied for. Åland Islands are exempt from the military conscription, but are required to serve in some kind of institution like the Coast Guard or civil services.
Okay, so that's a major difference between America and Finland. We don't have to serve at all if we don't want, unless you're drafted, unless we get another world war or something. We do not have to serve in the military. But, you know, I know a lot of European countries, like, they do that. Like, it's mandated service that you have to do. And I probably would have hated it when I was younger. But I can definitely see the value in something like that. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I could definitely see the value in it, but I probably would have hated doing it.
Finnish culture is actually pretty funny. The stereotype is that Finns are incredibly quiet and don't talk that much in most public transactions.
Yeah.
Just mind your business and no small talk. The cartoon Finnish Nightmares illustrates this concept pretty well. Check it out. Which is funny because Finland is huge on the boisterous, loud, and flashy heavy metal culture, having the highest concentration of heavy metal bands out of any other country in the world, with nearly 650 per 1 million residents. Finns also invented the...
Saw Nightwish back there. Back there. That's wild. I didn't know that. I know, like, they were famous for having heavy metal artists, and I've been covering a lot of them, but I didn't realize it was that populated. It's just crazy that, like, one chunk of the earth is, like, all into one thing. I'm sure there are other musical styles as well, but it's just kind of funny. I wonder if it's something to do with the water, the temperature, maybe just, I don't know. God bless you for it.
Loud and flashy heavy metal culture, having the highest concentration of heavy metal bands out of any other country in the world, with nearly 650 per 1 million residents. Finns also invented the wife carrying competition, in which a man must carry either his wife or girlfriend, or any girl that agrees to get tossed around in an obstacle course, and the winner gets the women's weight in beer. It's very strategic, because if you want to...
You guys are crazy over there. I've heard of the wife carrying competition. I've heard of it. I didn't realize that your reward was the weight of the woman in beer, but that's a hell of a prize.
Competition in which a man must carry either his wife or girlfriend, or any girl that agrees to get tossed around in an obstacle course, and the winner gets the women's weight in beer. It's very strategic, because if you want to win, you might want to carry a lighter wife, but if you want more beer, you better do your squats, bro.
Right.
Now, if you must know one thing about Finnish culture, you have to know about sauna. The Finns invented the sauna. Most homes, hotels, and apartments have a sauna built into them.
What? Most homes, hotels, and apartments have a sauna built into them. He's calling it a sauna. We call it a sauna over here. Maybe we're just butchering the name. That's probably what's happening. We have them here. They're like kind of few and far between. You might find one at like a gym or like a YMCA. I'm not sure if you guys have those over there, but like you'll see like them over there, or like maybe if somebody has like a really nice house, they might have like a sauna in it. But like one in maybe every, I don't know, 100,000 people might have one. That number might be wrong, might be less or more, but very few people. I don't know anybody that has a sauna in their house. I've heard of like the health benefits of having them, like sweating out the toxins. And I listened to Joe Rogan. He does like an awesome podcast, and he's always speaking very highly of his sauna, saying that it's healthy for you. I think I've only been in a sauna maybe once in my life, and that was when I was in a hotel or a YMCA or something. I don't know. It was kind of weird because you're in a little towel, and you're just kind of there with a bunch of naked dudes, and I was pretty young, and I remember being a little uncomfortable, but every house, every apartment, they all have them. You guys all have sauna. Like, it's just, I wonder why it's so important to you guys. I mean, they're cool. Maybe I just haven't spent enough time in them.
Squats, bro. Now, if you must know one thing about Finnish culture, you have to know about sauna. The Finns invented the sauna. Most homes, hotels, and apartments have a sauna built into them. They actually had a sauna competition at one point, but then a Russian guy died and they had to kind of cancel it. Oh.
What does that consist of? A sauna competition? What is that, like whoever can stay in there the longest? Yeah, of course somebody died. I guess it dehydrates you.
Sauna. The Finns invented the sauna. Most homes, hotels, and apartments have a sauna built into them. They actually had a sauna competition at one point, but then a Russian guy died and they had to kind of cancel it. Overall, though, Finns are kind of brought up in a mindset known as sisu. It's kind of hard to explain the exact definition of it, but it kind of means something like guts or determination and never giving up, which really helped them along the fight with the Soviets. Sisu is to Finland what Jantaloen is to Denmark. There are so many other things I wish we could talk about, but we're running out of time. But we do have time for friend time!
What is this?
Historically, Finland was kind of always a little lonely. I mean, few, if any, trading routes ever went through this area. Even the Mongols were like, we're good. Nah, yeah, carry on. Nonetheless,
Too cold.
over time, Finland did develop relations, and to this day is one of the most diplomatically outreached countries in the world. I mean, the Finnish passport is the #1 ranked and most sought after, as it has the highest number of visa-free countries applied to it. First of all, Finland generally gets along with other Nordic countries. However, they have the biggest frenemy relationship with Sweden. They'll trade and share a beer or two, but when hockey season comes, the bloodbath begins. When it comes to Russia, Finland kind of has to be their friend because Russia has the longest border with them and business is important. Nonetheless, Russia is kind of seen as like the next door neighbor that you once got into an argument with, but then you kind of fixed things up, but then you kind of really didn't get over it, and then you have to see them every other day in the morning as you go to work. Germans are always welcome in Finland, and Hungarians are like the long-lost distant cousins that they just discovered and are trying to build a relationship with. Their best friends, though, might be Estonia and Norway. Everybody loves Norway. It's like the Cameroon of Europe. Norway has never had any controversy with Finland, and with the recent mountain gift proposal, relations are only strengthened. Estonia is like...
Oh, Norway is giving Finland the tip of the mountain. I got that backwards. Still, hilarious.
the nagging little sister that tries to imitate her bigger brother. I mean, they both even have the same national anthems. But in the end, they are family, and Finland always loves them. In conclusion, Finland really is a winter wonderland with quiet people that transform into metal monsters after a pint of long drink, topping their days off, baking themselves in human ovens for fun. And with that, we finish the Finnish episode. Ah, you waited for that for over 10 minutes. Stay tuned. The country that must not be named is coming up next.
Interesting. This was cool. This was really cool, man. I felt like I learned a lot. I didn't realize you guys were into sauna that much. The mountain thing is freaking hilarious to me. The wife carrying thing is awesome. And I've heard that about like people from Finland or Finnish people. I'm not sure exactly what you like to be called. I'm sorry if I'm saying a slur that's disrespectful. I don't mean any disrespect. But it's cool. It's cool. I like the fact that you guys are all spread out. I like that you guys are kind of introverts over there, and you're also have some of the most brutal metal in the world. I think that's a hilarious, awesome contrast. And it seems like a lot of you guys are just kind of humble, quiet people. And I'm kind of the same way. I'm a bit of an introvert, even though I'm doing this thing right now in my everyday normal life. I keep to myself, and I'm a pretty quiet guy for the most part. So I can respect that. But yeah, that was cool. I feel like I kind of learned a lot about it. But man, would I love to come over to Finland and crack open a couple beers with you guys and talk music. I feel like you guys could probably show me a couple things. And it just looks beautiful too, man. Like all like the architecture that I saw. I mean, like it's just like it's so artistic, and it's just like every little detail is so meticulous. I feel like I could go there and stare in the streets and just stare at some of the buildings for hours. And like, you know, architect isn't even my thing, but I can appreciate beauty when I see beauty. The landscapes look awesome. I had no idea you guys had so many freaking islands out there. I mean, I knew obviously it's gonna be a little wet out there. You know, it's gonna be cold, but I didn't realize, you know, how much of the swamplands were everywhere and all that fun jazz. Some of the borders were pretty hilarious there too. The lighthouse thing, I really enjoyed that one. But I feel like I learned a lot today from this thing. I'm gonna keep doing this with just different parts of the world, you know, Germany and Russia and all that stuff. Because honestly, I'm uneducated on it. But that doesn't mean I need to continue to be uneducated on these things. I can just learn on the internet, and I'll share it with you guys. And then hopefully, some very cool people will come along in the comments and maybe even share some more information with me, and I'll get to continue my journey. But if you enjoyed today's content, please consider liking and subscribing. I'm going to be doing this sort of thing all the time, and I'd love to have you here. All right, guys, have a great night.